In this episode, we crossed the Darien Gap on a sailboat with our bikes. My wife and I on a motorcycle trip through Mexico, Central, and South America exploring culture and food. So bring an appetite for adventure because we're hungry riders. So we're staying at a hostel in Panama City, and this is a hostel that's really known for having lots of bikes there. People coming and going to Colombia or from Colombia happen to stay there when they're taking a sailboat or some other means, also backpackers. And we got to get to know some of the people there and got some good tips for South America for people that had already been there.
Yeah, a lot of the people who we would be getting onto the Stahlratte with were also there. Yeah, there was a whole variety of different kind of bikes, from BMWs to another KLR to a diesel-powered Royal Enfield.
That's super cool. Harry, we'll put a link to his blog. Super awesome guy, really interesting bike. You got to check it out. And he's rode around the whole world on the thing, so it's pretty cool.
A few days later, we all got together and rode as a pack to a meetup point where we met up with the rest of the bikers that weren't at the hostel, and then we all rode out to where the Stahlratte was docked so that we could all load at the same time.
And the road was mainly highway for the most part, but the last section was basically the little mountain range right before you get to the Caribbean coast. Nice and twisty, super cool. Little dual sport action with some off-road sections, mud.
Nothing major.
Yeah, it was still fun. We enjoyed it, and everyone kind of went at their own speed at that point.
Yeah, and some nice mountain ridge. So there's wonderful views of all of Panama. It was a really nice ride.
And actually what we're doing is we're heading towards the San Blas Islands, which is on the Caribbean coast. So we're crossing on the Caribbean side, of course, on Panama, and meeting our boat there. And we arrived at the dock, and we could see the boat stationed there. And one of the cool parts is that the Stahlratte actually does all the paperwork for you getting out of Panama. So it was our easiest border crossing so far.
Because they did everything.
Yeah, they just did everything. So you just hand them your paperwork, basically. So one of the major benefits on why we selected the Stahlratte boat is they actually have a crane or boom that they can use to load the bikes. Everything else is kind of just like manhandling it on. So we unloaded the bikes as much as we could and attached ropes to it basically, and they lifted it up with the powered crane.
Yeah, that was quite a sight, seeing our bikes dangling over the ocean. But again, they had a really nice crane. It could handle way more than what our bikes weigh.
Yeah, you can handle the giant BMW GS 1200s, no problem. So yeah, ours are nothing compared to that.
Right.
And yeah, the process went really smoothly, very quickly. I was really surprised. And
yeah, they just loaded the bikes up one after the other and got all 14 bikes, was it?
Yeah, 14 bikes on this one boat. It can handle 19 bikes, I think,
maximum.
total. And yeah, it was a very smooth process, and they do it every couple weeks basically, so they're total pros at it. And this boat is actually really interesting. It's all steel. It was made in Holland over 100 years ago. It's 100 feet long, and I guess in the...
It was originally just a sailboat, but they have since added some motors onto it to make it a bit more efficient.
And for a while it was purchased by a commune in Germany, so it was kind of a...
For about 20 years, and around the 80s,
people just live on it, and that sailing kind of lifestyle kind of thing. And so it's still owned by them, so it's not owned by one person, so apparently the boat's just going to keep going forever, potentially.
As long as it can.
And it's people like us who are taking trips like this. It is actually a very affordable price relatively to what other things cost, and they offer great food, great service, and it's a lot more secure. It's a big boat. But this is going to keep doing this for a while to help pay for just repairs of the boat, because a big boat like this is very expensive to maintain. We stayed with the Kunas in the San Blas Islands, which is a local indigenous group that's been very like a sovereign kind of nation kind of thing within Panama.
And they have an agreement with the people who run the Stahlratte to allow people like us to stay on one of their islands in their houses for a night as we head out into the ocean.
So yeah, we got our own little hut kind of thing. Right on the beach. We hung out with the biker people again that evening, mostly Carmen and Michael once again, and we all went to dinner at a Kuna restaurant and had some Kuna food, and which basically involves fried chicken, rice with kind of like a tomato and lettuce salad,
and fried fish.
The fish was really good. It was interesting. It was basically small tunas that they caught there.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah, it was an interesting experience.
And then we headed back to our own island, and we had a little adventure throughout the night. As it turns out, there was a bat in our hut.
And it liked to stay in the hut all night.
Which is good, because then it eats all the mosquitoes and the bugs that would have bothered us otherwise. But that also meant that at one point I I half woke up in the middle of the night and felt something scutter across my chest.
And it wasn't me.
And I was too much asleep to react properly, but that must have been what it was, and I freaked out duly later.
Yeah, but yeah, you could just feel it like flying over your head in the middle of the night
And
too.
hear
'cause
it.
Yeah.
You could hear it.
Yeah, flapping around in there. But yeah, that's
That's what happens.
that's an experience.
It was.
Wouldn't recommend it too much.
So there are a few bathrooms on this island, but they basically just consist of an outhouse that's hanging over the beach into the water. And we didn't witness this personally, but a friend of ours said that he witnessed a local man,
Wake up first thing in the morning, walk in one of those outhouses, stay there for like 10 or 15 minutes, and then immediately come out and jump in the water and go for a swim.
The water, which is right directly next to the outhouse, so you're basically swimming in.
I was really concerned about the cleanliness of the surrounding water because these are really dense communities. Like each of these small islands has probably a few hundred people on it, and there's multiple islands around those. So you're talking a few thousand.
Right.
And how clean can the water be with that kind of...
So we decided not to go swimming or snorkeling on that island.
But luckily we hopped on the Stahlratte that morning and we motored over to some other more remote islands with excellent swimming. We pulled into these pristine little tropical islands all grouped around. We pulled the boat into the middle of those.
It's the exact stereotype of what you might think of paradise. White sand beaches, coconut trees.
Nice blue water,
Blue water.
waves breaking off in the distance, but it's nice and calm where you are.
So we spent a couple days there just hanging out in those islands. We did a lot of snorkeling. We swam in between all those 4 or 5 little islands, including one that was really, really tiny. It only had 2 trees on it.
Yeah,
It was practically deserted. It was deserted.
Yeah, we wouldn't want to be stranded there for too long, but
It's very, very tiny.
and it was really cool. And the first night we were there, we did a barbecue cookout on the beach.
Yeah, we went to one of the islands and set up a little grill.
And it was make your own kebabs, and we got visited by the some Kuna ladies who were like fully dressed up in their traditional garb.
And they made their skewers as well and ate with us.
And that was followed with
A bonfire,
lots to drink,
lots of alcohol, rum,
lots of singing that everyone took part in.
guitar playing.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was a interesting tropical island experience with a boat right there. And Serafina took some awesome pictures while we were there also.
Yeah, and then the following day we did some more snorkeling and hanging out on the. I climbed up the mast.
That's true. It was Halloween also while we were doing this. We dressed up a little bit for our Halloween pictures. We bought some stuff while we were in Panama City.
Just tiny little costumes. And then some of the Kuna locals came by on their canoe and sold us some freshly caught lobster and barracuda, which we then cooked for dinner.
Yep, this was one of the main appeals to the really awesome food on the Stahlratte, and yeah, it was a big lobster dinner with the barracuda, and super delicious and very fresh.
And then the day after that, it was time to actually make some progress on the way to Colombia. So we head out into the open water, open seas.
It was going to be 2 full days basically out at sea.
Right.
So that means you can't really read or watch a show or anything.
Watching TV or reading, not that we had internet or anything, but makes you sick. So even though we did take Dramamine, still the only things that we could really do safely were sleep or listen to audio podcasts, which we did plenty of.
And while we were going, they actually put up the sails, and so they were using both the motor and the sails. I guess the wind is never quite right for full sail power for
But
this.
it's a good help.
Yeah, it adds a little extra speed and more efficiency
Right.
to the whole process. And we ended that by heading into Cartagena.
Then we pulled into the dock at Cartagena. It's a gorgeous skyline, gorgeous city as we pulled in.
Yeah, very colonial. I can kind of see that right away as soon as we got on land.
Right. But the problem was that we arrived Saturday evening. And
afternoon, yeah.
Afternoon, but we can't take the bikes off the boat until we can go through customs.
So
and
tomorrow's Sunday, which means nothing's going to be open.
Closed.
Monday's a holiday.
Closed.
So Tuesday morning is as soon as we can possibly get the bikes off. So we got 2 full days to see the city.
So we left the bikes on the boat, and then we explored Cartagena. We saw one of their forts that we didn't go into. We walked around the city. It was a little bit hot, It was very hot.
The Gold Museum was air conditioned, which was a nice break.
And free.
And free. And you know, I guess there was a local indigenous community here again, not Incas yet, but it was the Zenu, I believe. And they would basically find gold like in a riverbed or something, a big gold nugget, hammer it out into like a chest plate, and they had all kinds of really interesting ornaments from that. Really cool.
It was. So then Tuesday rolls around and we got up really early and got our bikes off the boat.
And this was a very different process than how we put the bikes on. Apparently the Stahlratte is not able to use any of the docks in Cartagena without paying a huge fee.
Right.
So instead they take off the bike and put it into their dinghy, but again using the crane, which is good. And then the dinghy to the dock, and then from the dinghy to move the bike onto the dock, it's all by hand. So you just hire a few extra guys and, you know, pull real hard.
So these bikes got offloaded one at a time off the dinghy. It's even more nerve-wracking than it was to load them onto the boat.
Yeah, and as soon as it comes off the dinghy, you need to hop on and ride straight to Adwana.
To customs. Adwana's customs, yeah. It's 5:30. We got here at 7 a.m.
After getting the bikes at 6.
Okay, bikes at 6. Waking up at 5:30. And we still don't have insurance yet. So we're halfway there.
This is a big moment for me. Finally I graduated from the Adwana. I can now drive my motorcycle in Colombia.
Yeah, 12 hours later.
Very nice.
Yeah. That whole Adwana process took much longer than we expected. You'd think that waking up at 5 a.m. and getting the bikes, you could still leave that day and put a few hours riding in.
No.
Didn't happen. So we ended up staying another night.
Right. So, but that's for next episode. On that next episode, we head out into the mountains of Bogota and teach some kids some photography.
We have a whole new continent to explore at this point.
We do. But until that next episode, if you want to see what we're doing right now, these videos are a little bit behind, but if you want to see what we're doing right now, you can follow us on Twitter. Twitter is a great place to catch up with us in real time. Twitter.com/hungryriders.
And you can always follow our whole trip at hungryriders.com.
See you next time.